The cold, heavy stainless steel spoon scrapes harshly against your lower teeth. You close your mouth, pulling the thick, lukewarm paste of cooked oatmeal onto your tongue. It is heavily artificially sweetened, drowning in thick, rich cream. But as you swallow the dense mass, a highly specific, unnatural sensation lingers at the very back of your throat. It is a sharp, electric, metallic tang. It tastes faintly of raw copper wire and sterile hospital iodine, completely masked by the overwhelming dose of refined sugar. You do not spit it out. You are 10 years old. You live in the overcrowded, damp, brick-walled dormitories of the Fernald State School in Massachusetts. You are a ward of the state, entirely accustomed to chronic malnutrition, physical neglect, and the suffocating institutional smell of stale urine and boiled cabbage. When the impeccably dressed men in pristine white laboratory coats arrive from the most prestigious universities in the country, smiling warmly and inviting you to join a highly exclusive science club, you feel a desperate, overwhelming surge of psychological validation. You feel chosen. You feel special. What you do not know, as you eagerly scrape the bottom of your porcelain bowl and smile up at the men holding the clipboards, is that the sweet, heavy milk they just poured over your breakfast is actively laced with government-funded, weaponized radiation. If you have the psychological endurance to face the absolute, cold-blooded betrayal of the Cold War medical establishment, hit the like button right now. It is the mandatory price of admission to the classified archives. We are about to execute a forensic audit of the absolute lowest point of institutional ethics. You sit in the brightly lit cafeteria, your stomach completely full for the first time in your young life. You think the metallic aftertaste is just the flavor of modern nutrition. You believe the men in the white coats are your saviors. That is your first catastrophic biological deception. The men watching you eat are not philanthropists. You are not a child to them. You are a cheap, disposable, easily monitored biological container. Welcome to the year 1950. The setting is the dawn of the atomic age. The system operating here is a deeply paranoid, highly funded military-industrial complex, desperate to understand the physiological impact of nuclear fallout on the human body. The scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Harvard University need to precisely map how radiation moves through the human digestive tract and permanently settles into the skeletal system. To acquire this highly classified data, they require human test subjects who live in a perfectly controlled, heavily monitored environment. They require subjects who have absolutely no legal guardians to ask questions, hire lawyers, or demand medical accountability. They look directly at the overcrowded, underfunded state orphanages. They look at you. The strategy they deploy is a masterpiece of calculated, predatory psychological manipulation. The Fernald State School is a bleak, terrifying environment where minor infractions are punished with physical beatings and prolonged solitary confinement. You have no parents. You have no identity beyond your assigned bed number. You are starving for basic human affection and basic caloric intake. The researchers from the university arrive carrying clipboards and wearing warm, paternal smiles. They create the Science Club. Membership is presented as a high honor, a reward for the brightest boys in the institution. They do not force you into a terrifying laboratory. They buy your absolute compliance with the currency of childhood. They throw lavish parties for the club members. They take you on fully funded field trips to Fenway Park to watch professional baseball games. They hand out brand new Mickey Mouse watches and comic books. For a 10-year-old orphan trapped in a brutal state facility, this is an unimaginable paradise. You eagerly volunteer for every single activity they propose. You trust them completely. You view the lead researcher as a surrogate father figure. You think the extra portions of heavily sweetened oatmeal and the specialized milk deliveries are rewards for your good behavior. You believe the Science Club is a genuine educational program designed to elevate you out of poverty. This is the ultimate crushing betrayal. The baseball tickets and the Mickey Mouse watches are not gifts. They are the incredibly cheap purchase price of your cellular integrity. The scientists are buying your absolute, unquestioning cooperation so you will never resist the dietary interventions. The physical ingestion is heavily disguised as a luxury, but the invisible executioner has already crossed the threshold of your lips. Let us clinically dissect the exact biological mechanism of your breakfast. The researchers prepare the oatmeal in a highly controlled, segregated kitchen. Notice their hands. They are wearing heavy, thick rubber gloves to handle the small glass vials of liquid they are meticulously dropping into the milk pitchers. They are legally required to protect their own dermal layers from the substance they are actively feeding to you barehanded. The liquid inside the vials is a highly concentrated, synthetic cocktail of radioactive isotopes provided directly by the United States Atomic Energy Commission. Specifically, they are using radioactive calcium-45 and radioactive iron-59. You sit at the metal table, surrounded by your friends, laughing and eating the warm cereal. As the heavy isotopes enter your highly acidic stomach, the silent protocol of cellular infiltration begins. Your body is 10 years old. You are in a rapid, critical stage of physiological development. Your bones are actively growing, elongating, and demanding massive amounts of dietary calcium to build dense, structural skeletal mass. Your body is a highly efficient biological machine, but it is chemically blind. It cannot differentiate between natural, healthy minerals and weaponized, unstable isotopes. As the digested oatmeal passes from your stomach into your small intestine, your intestinal villi eagerly absorb the radioactive calcium-45. Your circulatory system transports the highly unstable, heavy metal directly into your deep bone marrow and the calcified matrix of your skeletal structure. Your body enthusiastically cements the radioactive poison directly into the permanent architecture of your femurs, your ribs, and your skull, completely believing it is building a stronger child. Once the calcium-45 is locked inside your solid bone, it begins to mechanically decay. It violently fires off beta particles directly inside your living tissue. Imagine a beta particle as a microscopic, high-velocity bullet. It is small, incredibly energetic, and it tears through your fragile cellular tissue at a subatomic level. These microscopic bullets are firing millions of times a second, 24 hours a day, directly inside your bone marrow. The ionizing radiation aggressively strikes the delicate double helix strands of your DNA. The high-energy particles physically snap the chemical bonds holding your genetic code together. Your cells attempt to repair the shattered DNA, but the constant, relentless bombardment causes microscopic transcription errors. You are experiencing forced, systemic genetic mutation from the inside out. The supreme cruelty of the Science Club experiment is the absolute lack of immediate physical pain. If they fed you poison, you would vomit. If they cut you with a scalpel, you would bleed and cry. But the radiation is entirely invisible and completely painless in the present moment. You finish your breakfast, wipe your mouth, and run outside to play baseball, completely unaware that your skeleton is currently functioning as a ticking, localized nuclear reactor. You think you simply ate a nutritious breakfast. That is the final, cruel deception. The researchers did not come to the orphanage merely to feed you. The ingestion of the isotopes was just the preparation of the soil. They are here for the harvest. 2 hours after breakfast, the warm, paternal smiles of the researchers completely vanish, replaced by the cold, sterile efficiency of a forensic laboratory. The fun and games are immediately suspended. You and the other boys in the science club are marched down into a cold, brightly lit, white-tiled medical examination wing of the institution. The researchers put their heavy rubber gloves back on. You are ordered to lie down on a cold, stainless steel examination table. The room smells sharply of rubbing alcohol and ozone. This is the moment the illusion shatters. The men you trusted, the men who gave you the Mickey Mouse watch, approach you holding thick, heavy glass syringes equipped with long, wide-bore steel needles. They wrap a tight rubber tourniquet around your thin, undernourished bicep. They do not offer comforting words. They aggressively drive the steel needle directly into your median cubital vein. You wince, feeling the sharp, stinging pain, but you do not fight them. The psychological conditioning of the science club guarantees your total compliance. You watch as the thick glass barrel fills rapidly with your dark red, heavily irradiated blood. But the blood draws are only the beginning of the extraction. The researchers require a complete, total map of the radioactive half-life moving through your digestive system. For the next several days, you are stripped of all privacy. You are strictly forbidden from using the standard institutional bathrooms. Every single ounce of your bodily waste, your urine and your feces, must be carefully deposited into specialized, chemically treated metallic collection containers. The scientists meticulously weigh, catalog, and scientifically analyze your biological waste. They are measuring the exact, precise ratio of calcium-45 that your growing bones successfully absorbed versus the amount your digestive tract rejected. You look at the scientists measuring your blood and your waste, and you believe they are conducting thorough medical checkups to ensure you are healthy. You think the invasive procedures are a necessary medical intervention to cure your chronic malnutrition. You are entirely, tragically wrong. The men in the white coats are not monitoring your health. They do not care about your malnutrition. They are treating your digestive system exactly like a calibrated piece of plumbing in a physics laboratory. The consent forms authorizing these highly invasive, dangerous radiological experiments were quietly signed by the state bureaucrats who manage the orphanage. Your parents are dead, and the state legally volunteered your body to the Atomic Energy Commission without a single word of explanation. You are a literal legal lab rat. When the data collection is finally complete, the researchers pack up their glass vials, their centrifuges, and their clipboards. They leave the Fernald school and return to their prestigious ivy-covered universities. The science club is abruptly disbanded. The extra milk stops. The baseball tickets disappear. You are abandoned, left behind in the damp brick orphanage, carrying a permanent, highly unstable atomic signature permanently locked deep inside your skeletal frame. The researchers published their findings in highly respected, peer-reviewed medical journals. The data collected from the orphans at the Fernald State School successfully helped the United States government establish the foundational safety guidelines for radiation exposure during the height of the Cold War. The scientists advanced their prestigious careers, won lucrative grants, and retired as highly decorated pioneers of modern radioisotope medicine. You do not advance. You grow up, leave the institution, and attempt to build a normal life, completely ignorant of the microscopic time bomb buried in your marrow. Decades later, you are sitting in a sterile, modern doctor's office. You are an adult now. The physician places an X-ray on the illuminated viewing board. He points to a dark, jagged, irregular mass growing aggressively inside your thyroid gland, or deep within the bone of your jaw. It is a highly aggressive, malignant carcinoma. You have no family history of this disease. You cannot understand how your cellular structure failed so catastrophically. It takes 40 years for the truth to finally claw its way out of the archives. In the 1990s, the federal government officially declassifies thousands of heavily redacted pages detailing the Cold War human radiation experiments. You read the news reports. You see the name of your orphanage. You remember the warm oatmeal, the metallic taste of the milk, and the smiling men with the Mickey Mouse watches. The realization is absolute, crushing psychological agony. The cancer eating your body today is the direct, biological receipt for the breakfast you were forced to eat 50 years ago. We look back at the 1950s and we shudder at the absolute, unchecked arrogance of the Cold War medical establishment. We feel incredibly secure in our modern world of strict institutional review boards, highly regulated informed consent forms, and absolute patient autonomy. We view the scientists at Fernald as rogue operators functioning in a panicked, unregulated era. But the physiological reality of institutional power dynamics has never truly stopped grinding. We no longer feed radioactive isotopes to state orphans in exchange for baseball tickets. But the fundamental vulnerability of the uninformed patient remains entirely intact. We still blindly, enthusiastically accept highly experimental, fast-track medical interventions pushed by heavily funded, profit-driven pharmaceutical corporations, trusting entirely in the pristine white coats of the spokespeople. We sign complex, 30-page digital consent agreements without reading a single word, completely handing over our biological data to massive tech and healthcare conglomerates. The radiation has been removed from the oatmeal, but the terrifying human capacity to exploit the desperate, the poor, and the institutionally vulnerable in the name of scientific progress is a permanent, underlying feature of the modern medical machine. If you were a starving 10-year-old child trapped in a brutal institution, and the most respected, highly educated men in the country offered you an escape, a hot meal, and a shiny watch, would you have swallowed the milk? Or would you have recognized the invisible poison hiding behind the smile? Answer carefully. The history of dark medicine is written entirely by the people holding the clipboards, never by the subjects holding the spoons. Make your psychological survival strategy known in the comments below. The Archivista is logging your answers, and the researchers are still collecting the data. If you thought the physical, radiological violation of helpless orphans was the absolute worst the Cold War government had to offer, you truly have no idea what the intelligence agencies were actively doing to the minds of completely sane adult citizens. They didn't just want to track radiation in the bones. They wanted to completely erase, reprogram, and remote control the human brain using sensory deprivation and weapons-grade hallucinogens. Click the video on your screen right now to enter the dark, heavily classified, and entirely illegal world of the CIA's MK Ultra mind control experiments, and I'll see you in the archives.